Once upon a time, there was a girl who believed the world owed her things. She went through her days with a mixture of resentment and expectation, convinced that happiness was a destination to which she was entitled, but which, due to some cosmic injustice, was systematically denied to her. Her eyes were always turned outward, scanning the horizon for the perfect job that never came, for the recognition from others that never arrived, for the great stroke of luck that stubbornly refused to happen. She lived in waiting, and in waiting there is a paralyzing stillness and postponement of life that masquerades as humility, but is deep down just fear disguised as passivity. This is not a story about a girl who got a magical opportunity. This is the story of how she discovered that the only key to freeing herself from the cell she had locked herself in was, ironically, in her own pocket, forgotten for years. The great revelation that changed everything did not come from a motivational speech, but from a simple and silent gesture by a woman who understood a fundamental law of existence. Life does not respond to our requests, but to our offering. What you are about to hear will challenge how you see your place in the world. It will question whether the scarcity you feel is real or just the echo of an inner posture of begging instead of creating. Stay here, because this journey might be the key you are looking for to unlock doors that seemed forever locked. Isabel was 28 years old and had a constant feeling of being late for her own life. She had graduated in graphic design a few years prior, but the market seemed like an exclusive club for which she hadn't received an invitation. Her portfolio was modest, her confidence even more so. She shared a small apartment with a friend and supported herself with sporadic and unsatisfying freelance jobs. Each rejection, and there were many, was internalized as a confirmation. I am not good enough. The market is saturated. I don't have the right connections. Her internal dialogue was a mantra of lack. Lack of talent, lack of luck, lack of opportunity. She spent hours scrolling through the social media feeds of successful colleagues, consuming that curated version of success and feeling the emptiness inside her grow. It was as if she were on the outside of a gleaming shop window, with her nose pressed against the glass, watching the party of life to which no one had invited her. Her energy was one of petition. She was asking with her resume for a chance. She was asking with her insecure posture in interviews for a little pity. She was asking with her silent frustration for the universe to finally see her and reward her for her goodwill. She was, in essence, a professional beggar of her own life. She extended her psychic hand to the world and expected coins of validation, employment, and happiness to fall into her palm. And like the beggar at the station, she was getting weaker, more invisible, more bitter. The turning point began on an ordinary day in an ordinary bakery. Isabel was in line, absorbed in her self-pitying thoughts, when an elegant lady with silver hair and a serene posture stepped forward to hold the door for her. The woman carried a leather briefcase and a calm smile that seemed to Isabel unfairly happy. Without thinking on the autopilot of frustration, Isabel muttered a thank you that sounded more like a lament. The lady, instead of just nodding and moving on, stared at her for a second that felt like an eternity. Her eyes seemed to read the whole story stamped on Isabel's face. Then she did something unexpected. Instead of giving generic advice like, "Have a nice day," she asked a question that cut through Isabel's mental noise like a blade. "How much are you charging for your energy today, my dear?" Isabel was paralyzed. The question didn't make sense. "I'm sorry," she stammered. The woman, named Helena, continued with the same serenity. "I see you are carrying a heavy weight. It seems expensive. I was just wondering what price you put on it to offer it to the world. Because, whether you want to or not, that's what we are doing all the time, offering our energy. The question is whether we are offering something people want to buy." And with one last gentle smile, she left, leaving Isabel planted in the middle of the sidewalk, her mind racing. At first came the anger. What an absurd and intrusive question! But the seed had been planted. Offering our energy, the phrase echoed. She had never thought of her feelings and her posture as a product she was offering to the world. She had always thought about what the world was not giving to her. That was the first click, the first crack in the wall of her sale. In the days that followed, Helena's question became an involuntary mantra. Isabel began to analyze her own offering. What was she putting out into the world? She saw herself as a designer, but what did she actually give through her work? In her freelance gigs, she delivered the minimum, afraid that if she gave too much of herself, she would be devaluing herself. In her interactions, she offered discouragement and insecurity. In her personal projects, she offered procrastination. She was a closed shop with empty shelves, but with a huge sign on the door complaining that no one was buying anything. The humiliation of this realization was overwhelming, but it was also liberating. If the problem was her offering, then the solution was within her control. She didn't need to wait for a miracle. She needed to restock the shelves. But with what? She had no money, no famous clients, no vast network of contacts. Then she remembered the wild flowers of the beggar, something simple but valuable, something within her reach, and she had her idea. She decided that for 1 week she would run an experiment. She would offer for free a small design service. Not a grand portfolio piece, but something concrete and useful. She scoured online groups and found a small family-run handmade soap business that had a terrible digital presence. She contacted them and offered, at no cost, to create a new logo and a simple template for social media. The reaction of the business owner, a woman named Marley, was initial distrust, followed by a relief and gratitude so genuine that it moved Isabel. For the first time in years, Isabel was not asking. She was giving, and the feeling that arose was not one of exhaustion, but of a new electric strength. It was the first sign that she was finally on the right path. She had found her first flowers. The week following the contact with Marley was different from any other in Isabel's life. She was no longer working out of obligation or the desperate need for a payment, but driven by a genuine purpose, to serve in the best way she could with the talent she possessed. Evenings of procrastination on social media gave way to intense sessions of research and creation. She studied the essence of handmade soaps, the story behind the small business, and tried to capture all of that in her illustrations. Every line drawn in the design software was an act of donation, not drainage. A curious phenomenon began to happen. The insecurity that always paralyzed her simply disappeared. Since she wasn't asking for approval but rather offering a gift, the fear of criticism lost its power. The quality of the work coming from her hands was noticeably superior to anything she had produced before. There was soul in it. When she delivered the final project to Marley, the reaction was one of tears of happiness. The woman not only loved the work, but insisted on paying for it, despite the initial offer being free. Isabel, remembering the principle of exchange, accepted a symbolic amount, which was in fact much more valuable than the money. It was the comfort of a fair, honorable exchange. She had given value and received value in return. That was not alms. It was a transaction, and that transaction made something inside her straighten up. Her posture changed. Her voice gained a new tone. She began to see herself not as an unemployed person, but as a professional who had something beautiful and useful to offer the world. Marley, impressed and grateful, became the first and most fervent promoter of Isabel's work. She showed the new logo to all her customers, to other small business owners at the market where she worked, and to her family. In less than 2 weeks, Isabel received 3 new requests. This time, they weren't miserable freelance gigs obtained on platforms where she competed with hundreds of people for pennies. They were people coming to her, referred by someone who had been positively impacted by her work. The question changed from, "How much do you charge?" to, "Could you do something for me too?" The power dynamic had completely inverted. She was no longer applying. She was being invited. And each new project was treated with the same philosophy. What is the best I can give here? How can I exceed expectations and deliver undeniable value? She began to include small bonuses in her projects, like a brand usage guide or application ideas the client hadn't even asked for. She was literally and figuratively giving extra flowers, and the market responded in kind. Her name began to circulate in a virtuous circle of small entrepreneurs who valued not only technique, but also care and dedication. Isabel's portfolio, which was once a dead document, became a living testimony of her new mindset. Each case was the story of a value she had created and offered. Money ceased to be a desperate end and became a natural and growing consequence of the value she generated. She realized then the universal law. The more you water the roots, the more the tree grows. Focusing on the offering is watering your own root. About 3 months after the bakery episode, Isabel already had a stable income and was in the process of formalizing her own micro-enterprise. But the deepest transformation was not in her bank account. It was in her mirror. She no longer saw herself as the frustrated designer waiting for salvation. She saw herself as an architect of perceptions, a solver of visual problems. The word entrepreneur, which once sounded distant and scary, now fit her naturally. She had understood that entrepreneurship is not about having a corporate tax ID, but about taking responsibility for creating value. One day, she decided to write a post on a professional social network, not to advertise her services, but to vulnerably share the lesson she had learned. She told the story of her old beggar mindset and about the click provoked by a stranger's question. She wrote about the importance of asking, "What can I give?" before asking, "What can I gain?" The response was overwhelming. Dozens of messages from other professionals, many in a situation similar to her former one, arrived thanking her for the courage to share that. She had, without meaning to, given another flower, the flower of identification and hope. And by doing so, her network of contacts and her reputation exploded. She was living the final proof that abundance generates more abundance. The universe, it seemed, conspires in favor of those who dare to offer their best, no matter how simple that best may seem at first. And does Isabel's journey echo in you? At what point in your life did you find yourself expecting too much from the world and offering too little? I have a different invitation to make today, far from the automatic subscribe now. How about we do an exercise together, here and now? Pause this video for a minute. Seriously, pause and think. What is your wild flower? What is that simple talent, that knowledge, that gesture of care that you can start offering to those around you today without cost, just to practice the act of giving value? It could be honest advice to a colleague, a drawing, help with a task, a genuine compliment. Then come back here and tell me in the comments, "My flower today was..." Let's turn this comment section into a true garden of possibilities. Let's inspire each other with the small offerings that can be the beginning of a great revolution. And if you are enjoying this journey and believe more people need to hear this message, consider subscribing to the channel. It's not just about getting a notification bell. It's about joining a community that is seeking to grow, not through demand, but through contribution. We will go on together. About a year after that casual encounter at the bakery, Isabel's life had transformed into something she hadn't even dared to imagine. She not only had a branding consultancy for small businesses, but she was also frequently invited to give small talks at entrepreneurship fairs. It was on one such occasion, while organizing her materials on stage before speaking to a group of 50 people, that she saw a familiar figure in the front row. It was Helena, the woman with the silver hair, with the same serenity in her gaze, now accompanied by a discreet smile of recognition. Isabel's heart skipped a beat after her talk, which had as its central theme precisely the story of the transformation initiated by Helena's question. She approached the woman. "You probably don't remember me," Isabel began, her voice slightly choked. Helena gently interrupted her. "I remember perfectly. I remember the price you were charging for your energy that day. And today, I see that you have discovered you can offer something infinitely more valuable." The conversation that followed was like closing a circle. Helena, who was a senior career management consultant, explained that it was not a coincidence. She did that frequently. She planted seed questions in soils that seemed fertile, without expecting anything in return. The greatest lesson I take from life, Helena said, is that there are no casual encounters between a heart ready to learn and a mind willing to teach. We exist as mirrors for each other. That day, I was your mirror. Today, you are the mirror for all those people. In that moment, there was no more hierarchy between them. It was no longer the advisor and the advisee, but two creators, two businesswomen, united by the mutual respect that only exists between those who understand the fundamental law of exchange. Isabel's journey goes far beyond the simple story of professional overcoming. It illustrates an existential paradigm shift, the transition from a mindset of scarcity and petition to a mindset of abundance and offering. The petition mindset is focused on the void. It asks, what can the world do for me? And lives in a state of lack, waiting for someone or something from the outside to fill its internal emptiness. This posture, however passive it may seem, is actually a form of control. It is an attempt to force the world to act according to its expectations. And when the world doesn't comply, the result is frustration, resentment, and stagnation. The offering mindset, on the other hand, is born from a sense of inner fullness. It asks, what can I do for the world? Starting from the principle that you already possess something of value to give, even if it's minimal. This is not a denial of reality or an act of pure altruism. It is a profoundly intelligent and practical strategy. When you focus on offering value, you stop fighting reality and start shaping it. You become a magnet for opportunities because people are naturally attracted to those who help them, who solve problems, who add beauty and utility to their lives. You stop being a burden and become a resource, and the world always rewards resources. The question, what can I give, is therefore the most powerful lever to change any situation. It transfers power from the outside to the inside, from chance to action, from victim to creator. Now I turn the question back to you who have accompanied me here. Where in your life are you operating from the petition mindset? It could be in your work, where you wait for recognition that doesn't come. In your relationships, where you demand attention and affection without asking what you have truly offered. Or even in your relationship with yourself, where you demand results without offering the necessary daily discipline and care. The revolution begins with a single courageous decision. The decision to stop extending a hand to beg and start extending a gift. What is the first gift you can offer? It could be the patience you didn't receive today. It could be excellent quality in a task no one will notice. It could be a word of encouragement for someone who is in the dark, just as you once were. Don't wait until you feel completely ready or abundantly full. It is in the act of giving, even from a place that seems empty, that true abundance begins to sprout. Remember, the world is not a bank where you make withdrawals. It is a garden where you plant seeds, and the harvest is always greater than the seed planted. And so we come to the end of this conversation. If this message touched your heart and ignited a small flame of possibility within you, then my purpose today has been fulfilled. This channel is not just a point for transmitting ideas. It wants to be a true community garden, a place where we not only consume content, but cultivate genuine connections. And I have a sincere desire. I want you to be part of it. If you believe, as I do, that together we can create a space of support where we grow not by competition, but by collaboration, then become part of our garden. Click subscribe and let's continue this journey of transformation, side by side. And now I really want to hear your voice. In the comments, tell our community, what was your biggest insight from this story? 2. If you could offer a gift to the world today, what would it be? 3. What will you do still this week to put the law of offering into practice? Your story is unique and might be just the flower another person needs to see to take the first step on their own journey. Let's inspire and be inspired. Let's build this together. With all my warmth and gratitude, until next time.